Lebowski. You're Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude. So that's what you call me, you know? That or his dudeness or...
Friends with friends, friends with friends, friends with friends, it's never going to end. Friends with friends. Friends with friends, friends with friends, it's never going to end. Friends with friends, friends with friends, friends with friends, let's do it.
Video podcast, motherfucker. Who does this?
It's exciting. All right.
So
I got the
we
timer
start over.
here. I got
And
everything.
let me ask you, how you been?
I've been great, man. Life is a trip. I mean, it's been about 20 plus years since I've talked to you.
It's probably well, let's see. Yeah, about 26 years, something like that. I thought it was longer, actually, because God damn it, you are old.
I look fucking old, man. I look old as the hills, man.
I only say that
See
because
what trying to make it in Hollywood does to somebody?
I'm
See,
so
you
glad
look younger.
I'm so glad I left. I honestly did like get younger when I left Hollywood. Part of it was that I had, undiagnosed medical issues I just never went to the doctor for, because working in Hollywood is 90% of the time you don't have medical coverage. So, that kind of sucks. But no, so I really, started getting a little bit, I think when you stop worrying about your career all the time, life just changes. But listen, that's not why you tuned in today. So what's up, man? Tell me about your show and what you do.
Okay, so we'll officially start, even though we've already started. This is episode 52 of Brett's with Friends.
All right.
Mr. Vinny Montello.
Well, thanks for having me. I tell you, if there's one thing I love more than anything else is being on a video podcast, especially when I don't know about it. I love surprises.
I love it too. This is all part of it. This is all part of the menagerie of reality. And so we're gonna go. So it's been a while, 26 years or 20-something years. I met you originally. Let's go back deep in the vault here.
You're gonna probably give me memories I don't even have. So I want to hear this.
Steve said that this would happen.
Uh-huh.
And so I met you through Steve Oakes, who was known as Steve O.
Steve O at the time, yeah.
And he was your writing partner.
He was.
And you guys worked for Nickelodeon.
At the time, well, I think we never officially worked for Nickelodeon. We worked for Klasky Chupo, which was the animation, the studio that, did the work for Nickelodeon. But yeah, apples, oranges.
Well, and I had met Steve at the Last Laugh Comedy Club, where I was the host, the doorman. And I met Julie and Steve way back in the day. He was headlining in San Jose, California, and I had become friends with Steve Oderkirk, who was a headliner who was doing In Living Color and who was doing Ace Ventura, and I had befriended him, and I moved to LA, and see, my memory is slipping now too. And I did a mural inside Steve Oderkirk's house, and he said that he would produce a movie if I came up with a script.
I kind of remember this.
And so that's why I spent fucking 5 years of my life writing Return to Sender, because I thought Steve Oderkirk was going to produce it, or he was going to match somebody's funds to produce it.
Let me interrupt for a second and just say Steve Oderkirk, who people don't realize that he is currently working on a show called Better Call Saul, but Saul's spelled slightly differently. Just, that's a very inside joke. Okay. Better Call Salt. That's very good. Where was that kind of writing during Return to Sender?
I had to wait 26 years to become a fan to be able to be.
So I got to ask you, it's been many years. How did it do in box office? How did it work out?
Return to Sender was a major hit.
It was. The name was changed.
McConaughey was partly the cast, but then he left, and then
I think it was strange when they changed the name to Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought that didn't really make sense, but I see it now.
So Steve, in a nutshell, really kind of tortured me a little bit because he used some of the jokes from Return to Sender and Ace Ventura 2.
Oh, did he?
I also gave him the idea about Kung Pao.
Oh, wow.
And he also used some of my jokes from another script I wrote called Splitting Infinity for some scenes in Kung Pao. So he was fertile ground. He minded my young talent. Honestly,
no joke. Did you get paid anything? Did he throw you a bone? Nothing.
Zero.
You didn't get a special thank you to.
He gave me the computer to write the movie on.
Oh, that's sweet. And I bet that's worth a fortune now.
Oh yeah, it was a beautiful little Mac. And he also gave me a camera at one point. But
it was a tiny laptop that weighed 27 pounds.
It was like one of those physics ratios where it's a pebble that weighs as much as the moon.
Yeah, you're talking way smarter. This kind of smart shit's over my head.
Oh yeah,
I am an uneducated Italian guy.
I'm just repeating things I've heard all my life.
Okay.
From smarter people.
Well, you hung out with smarter people than me.
Yeah. Yeah, they were really smart. They fucking made a movie out of my jokes.
Listen, I would have done it too if you'd said any good jokes to me.
Yeah. Well, there's still time.
Well, listen, this podcast has just begun.
Yeah, well, we've only been talking for half an hour.
So it's true.
So that's how we met. That's how you guys wrote the 7-page outline. We hung out a few times. Then you went off and did something else. So I continued writing with Steve.
Right.
Getting stoned out of our heads and writing this fucking stupid movie, Return to Sender, which is still going to be made. I'm gonna make this whole
I'm sure.
Is the whole reason for this podcast is to make Return to Sender.
Oh no, I'm sure it's going to happen. I mean, I as a matter of fact, I went in Fandango and bought my tickets already. Now we just got to figure out the theater and the time. But I'm in. I'm all in. But listen, it was a really funny idea. I don't know. I mean, I ended up reading what it turned into, and it was pretty true to the story that we had come up with, the three of us. And I thought it was cute. And I'll tell you, be honest with you, 100%. At the time, I was like, this could be really funny, so it's never going to get made. That's honestly what I was thinking internally. I don't know about Steve, but I know in my head, I was just like, yeah, this is a great exercise, but I don't know if it's going to ever get made.
Well, with you and Steve, you guys had that 7-page outline, and I was so articulate and so like boom, 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 boom. You know, the jokes I think are still solid. It was made to be simple. It was made to be a simple, easy to understand, boom, 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 so that any way you arranged it, that the jokes would land still. And I think Return to Sender, it's changed the course of my life. I mean, it's crazy. So, okay.
Well, you know what? Well, seriously though, not even kidding. That would make a fun, quirky little documentary. The creation of that, 26 years going by, and now that would, if you could get somebody to option that thing, that would be like a great documentary. And that's the ending of the documentary, is you finally get the goddamn thing optioned.
That would be amazing. I have people looking at it. I've still been pitching it for years.
Well, the good news is this: when you're at something for 26 years, that gives you enough time with the handful of studios to go through 5 or 6 generations of people who buy shit.
Yeah.
So when we came up with the idea, when we wrote the outline, the executive who ultimately buys this thing will not have been born yet.
Probably.
So at least, he wasn't pitched it, at least in the past. So it's fresh to whoever's never heard it.
And the story is as relevant as it's ever been.
It's as relevant now as it was then.
Exactly.
And by that you mean not relevant at all.
Not getting made.
Well, no, listen, I still think a quirky weird movie like that could get made. And the truth is, I mean, all joking aside, the truth is there's no better time than now. You've got everybody buying content. I mean, you could sell the movie, break it down into 7-minute episodes, and sell it to Roku as a Roku original series. And you know, they're buying shit now, you know. What used to be Quibi is now Roku. So there's everywhere, you know, Netflix, Amazon, Vudu, and Tubi, and
do you know
everybody.
Do you know who Kyle Dunningham is?
Oh yeah, from the Calabasas Dunninghams. No, I have no idea.
Well, he does a lot of face swapping. He got the Fresh Prince of DC. I'll have to. Anyways, he's a really amazing comic. He does Bill Maher. He does Biden. He does all these.
Oh, Kyle Dunnigan.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, of course I know Kyle Dunnigan.
I sent him a copy of the script. And I was trying to get Annie Lederman to be Sheila and him to be Johnny. And I was doing his podcast at home with his phone, and I was tripping on mushrooms. I went live with him, and I asked him if he had read my script towards the end of it. And I was tripping. I can't even believe I was able to make words because I was pretty high. And I was actually candy flipping, and because I was on ecstasy, that I was in a compound. It was and so at the end,
So you still are 22 years old.
Yeah, that's the last time I've had sex too. Was 20. But like, I said, Kyle, did you read my script? Return to sender. And he's all, yeah, I love it. We're gonna do it. And then we went off the air. But he knows about me. I've been on his show at home with Sly Stallone a few times. I was on Craigslist. Anyways, he's a great guy. I really would love to connect with him because the guy's a fucking genius.
Very funny. And what he does with the face swapping, I love when he does Joe Biden. He does a great Joe Biden, and Stallone's great. And his Bill Maher is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, he could fool Bill Maher with his Bill Maher. And that's even without the face, just the voice.
His Joe Rogan was interviewing Bill Maher, and he said, have you seen Kyle Dunningham do an impression of you? And Bill Maher's like, no.
Yeah, no, he knows.
He wouldn't acknowledge that.
He absolutely knows, you know, because Maher's got that, you know, he's got such an ego. But listen, that's not why you called the show today.
Yeah, well, these are just the hot topics that the kids want to know about.
Oh, the kids, yeah.
With the stuff and the things. Okay, so so I digress. Let's go. So that was the story of how I met you. And so what happened after that? What happened to you in LA after like 2008? No,
before that. I left. Well, Steve and I, as the last job we got, did we do that thing, me, you and Steve? Was it after we had been off the sitcom or before? Was it after Rugrats and all that?
It was before the sitcom? At the tail end of that. It was right because I came over to the office and you guys were doing Rugrats.
Okay.
And
so
that was with the inception of it, we all were, whatever was happening was started to formulate. And then I took off and wrote on it for like a year or two without. We
left Rugrats, and then we got a couple other great jobs, and the last one was on a sitcom. We worked on a sitcom together, which was I think the stress, the pressure is just what kind of started pushing us apart. Still loved each other. I love him still to this day. I love the guy. But I think the stress every day and the hours was so goddamn long on that thing. And again, like I was saying earlier, I didn't realize it at the time, but I was deep in the throes of daily hypoglycemia and all these things where my moods were getting crazy and I would flip at things. So at the end of that, when our contract was up, it was just like, I think we need to see other people kind of thing. One of those like, and so we did that. We broke up. He did some things. I did some things. And then I left television completely because I had gotten into a brand new venture, which was the beginning of streaming, which was, I was part of a startup called Fly TV that was before YouTube. And it was like right after AOL and all that shit. And Fly TV was set to basically be YouTube meets Netflix. And we just missed out. We literally we started in a loft. It was your typical .com story. Started in a loft, a bunch of kids, nobody getting paid. I did it for about 13 months. In 13 months, with a budget of my total budget to run the whole company. I was with an old buddy of mine, Ricky Paul Golden, and he gave me creative control to come up with all the programming and no money. So I was given 2 crews that would shoot and edit video. And I think for the entire year, including office staff, rent, and supplies, the budget was like $200,000. And in that year, I created 90 episodes of 7 different web series. So they were cheap, they were fast. We joked about basically, if somebody coughed, oh, there's an episode. Let's turn that. Just put an opener and a closer on it, and there's an episode.
Wasn't graphics on that?
It was whatever we could do. And we did. At one point, we had sold shows to an online site. This was also another thing too that's kind of funny. It was one of the models. We were trying all these different models to try to get views. And one of the models was, we give you a link and you put it on your website. So you now have entertainment on your website for free. And that is something that YouTube a few years later started doing. But back then, nobody was doing this. So our 90 episodes, we had 2 guys who were the Siskel and Ebert of websites. They basically did a review of websites every week. We had a girl who was a groundling who did prank phone calls that were hysterical. She was a double talker. And we did about 30 episodes of her just making phone calls. Right. And literally it was a thing where we'd give her $100 and lunch and put her in our loft, and we'd have the phone wired up and she would make calls for a couple hours and we'd edit together a bunch of shows. And then sorry?
Do you remember her name?
Yeah. Carrie, what was her last name? It's very famous. She's been in Christopher Guest movies and stuff. Carrie, we called her Carrie the Phone Freak. That was her title, If you said it, I would know, but I don't remember right now. But we had 30 episodes of her. We had a kid's show that was called Knock Knock Nick, and it was an animated show that was basically every episode was a knock knock joke. Somebody else would show up at Nick's house. And the reason we did that was we had no money to hire anybody. We had a guy who worked in the office, did the voice. So I'd have him knock out a bunch of knock knock jokes, and then boom, there's 30 episodes, And then finally we came up 20 episodes short for an order that this company had paid us for. It's going to give us like 6 more months of operating revenue. And they said, okay, we need 20 episodes. What can we do? I pulled Billy the Big Mouth Bass off the wall, opened up the back, rewired the servos to doorbells and turned him into a puppet, put him up on a bar stool in front of a fake brick wall with a spotlight on him. And we called him Sal the Stand-Up Salmon. And he did 25 episodes telling dirty jokes. And that's how we filled the contract. That's how you do 90 episodes for less than $200,000. Nice. And so it was a lot of fun. It was great. It was amazing. We had venture capitalists that were in our offices. The guys putting up money, and they were there talking about, we're going public in April. And we're going to start. Vin, you own 400,000 shares of this. My partner, who put up some of the money in the beginning, he owned like 600,000 shares. Said, you own 400,000, Ricky, you own 600,000, and the way the plan's going now, we're going to open at about $10 a share, and we're hoping by end of day we can close above 14. So, of course, in my head, I'm going $10 a share, 400,000. I am now worth $4 million. I was in my head picturing. And literally, that was going to happen in about 2 months. There was already a press release that came out about this company going public. And then the .com crash happened. And not only did we not go public, the venture capitalist literally disappeared. They had an office in our loft. They never showed up again. They never answered a phone call. They just disappeared. And then we realized we had a couple months of revenue left to run the place. We tried. .coms were dead at that time. This was the original
was this
.com.
2008?
No, this was 2000. Maybe, yeah, I think it was maybe
Before
90.
9/11? Before
Oh yeah. Oh, before
yeah,
9/11.
this is that sweet little spot where the internet
Everything was making money.
Well, also this like situation that you had, everybody is sort of like the gold rush.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we did this. I'm trying to make this long story short, because again, it's not why you called the show today.
No, it is.
But we we had a few months left of revenue, so we decided, you know what, TV is still out there. So we have all these little web shows, and we have this really cool loft, and the loft was really cool. I mean, it was typical .com era. We had in the middle of this the bullpen was a pool table that literally had dividers put on it and high chairs, and that was turned into workstations. So you had 5 workstations around a pool table, which was really, kind of cool and funky.
Yeah.
So we decided, my partner and I came up with this idea. We're going to sell Fly TV as a TV show. And the premise of it was a half-hour comedy, kind of like Laugh-In, kind of like a modern day Laugh-In. And the premise was, it's a cool young .com that makes video programming for the internet. And they've got sick, crazy money. They don't know how to spend it all. There's so much money. So every day in the loft is a party, but people are still working during it. Crazy shit happens. Doors open. You don't know what's going on, what debauchery is going on in there, but people are still producing. And every once in a while, the camera will push into a computer monitor to see what somebody's working on. And that would dissolve to a 3-minute bit, an animation or Sal the Stand-Up Salmon or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And then there was always a big party scene, kind of like the big Laugh-In cocktail party scene. So that was the premise. We go to sell that show, and we decide we got one shot. We literally were out of money. We were holding the landlord off at this point because he just wanted us out. And so we decided, we threw the damn party at the loft and invited the studios and networks to come to us. And we brought them in 2 and 3 studios at a time. So Universal would see Paramount at the party and all the stuff. And what we did was the whole thing was scripted. So we had every single thing that happened in there. They would come in. At one point, we're talking about how great the show is going to be. So what are you working on? And we go to an editor, and he presses a button, fills up the big screen, and there's a show. And we go, oh, what are you working on? And he says, yeah, I was just sorry. He like stops in the middle of something. He goes, wait a second, it's 3:00. And he opens a door that says writer's room on it. Opens a door, throws in a giant turkey leg, and slams the door as like arms are reaching out like this. So that was a little bit. So we had all these little bits. We go, and then in the end, at the very end on cue, guys in white coats show up with a straitjacket to pull the executive out because they've been called. Okay. And they would literally pull an executive out in a straitjacket and put him into an ambulance where my partner and I were waiting with champagne to discuss the deal. And we did this 2 parties. We did it for about 7 different executives. And we got offers. We got like 3 offers to do this. And then this is where the biggest mistake happened, which is we chose the wrong offer. 2 of the offers were Paramount and Viacom, both CBS, Paramount, and Viacom. We thought the smart move here, and our representation thought so too. Let's go with Viacom because they own the other 2. So if we go with Viacom, they put up the money. We have different outlets to sell this thing for air. We go to Viacom, and within 2 days, I had my first creative meeting with the executive assigned to me. And I knew then, I said, oh, we got to get out. We have to give them their money back and get the hell out of this deal. And my partner said, we have no choice. There's no giving the money back. We paid some of that money out to just cover the rent from last month. We can't. Yeah. So we have to do this. But I was being told by a junior executive who was about 22 years old what I was doing wrong in the comedy writing in the script. And I could not handle that. Because the girl was trying to tell me, and she read a Robert McKee book or something, and she knows everything because she read the book, and she's 22. And she was telling me about my script. You see on this page here where you do a punchline, and then the other guy comes in and he says a punchline? I go, yeah. And she goes, well, Vin, comedy comes in groups of 3. I said, I'm sorry. She goes, 3. You need 3 punchlines. And I try to wait patiently. I'm very bad at that because I always want to jump in. I go, first of all, I know the comedy rule of 3. I've been in the comedy business my entire adult life. And I hate to break this to you. That's not the comedy rule of 3. So I go on to explain to her the real comedy rule of 3. And I said, and by the way, I wasn't going for 3 here or 2. This is what's on a different page in the book. It's called punchline tagline. So he does the punchline. That's a tagline. That's amplifying the punchline he told. And this is often done in comedy throughout the ages. And I give her examples all the way back up to modern times, even, George Costanza and Kramer and this. And I stop and there's a pause and she looks at me and she looks at me. She looks down at her paper, her notes, looks back at me, back down and goes, yeah, I want the 3. So it didn't matter. Like she just had to go back to the one rule she learned about. So I left that room and I turned to my partner. I said, we got to get out of this. This is never going to work. And long story short, we shot a horrible pilot. They gave us no money. I had to direct it. I never wanted to direct it. I don't know how to direct anything. I never directed anything. Was given no money. I got forced to put Heidi Fleiss in the goddamn thing.
Oh. So you had you had star talent.
Oh yeah, Heidi Fleiss was the big name. So it was hard. Oh, and also the party scene, the what the hell's the show? The laugh-in party scene in our modern version at the time it was a rave. So it would be this rave every week, and it was very dark and young and underground kind of feel. And then when we go to get music cleared, Viacom comes back with the only music they can get cleared was Genie in a Bottle by Christina Aguilera.
Nice.
I go, now, at what fucking rave is this bubblegum song playing? It never would be. There would be some EDM thing or something cool, some DJ thing. But yeah, so exactly. But so it didn't work out, and it was horrible. In the end, I went through 3.5 weeks of editing and hated it and wanted my name taken off in the end. And it was horrible. I've never
associated on something.
It's bad. I literally said this is going to destroy anything I've built up in the comedy world.
Haven't worked since.
Well, I'm trying to think, did I? After that, I did. We sold the show. To the Learning Channel a couple years later, like in 2011, maybe. We sold a show to, and they screwed that up too. I didn't produce it, but they bought the premise and then completely destroyed the show. But that aired like I think 2011.
Do you have any
of the pilot?
Folks out there see this.
I will go to my grave and make sure nobody sees it. I have a VHS, but I haven't watched it since then. It's horrible. It makes no sense. It does not go together. It just makes no sense. I'm
sorry. Continue.
No, go ahead.
Was Seinfeld on the air at the time that this was being made?
Oh, I'd say probably when did Seinfeld went off? What, 99, 2000?
I don't even remember.
It had to be around then.
So the kind of the tone of the show, it sounds like what basically we all have today, right now. And it's like almost like with the internet and shows and podcasts and all these different things, it's sort of like an amalgamation of all that early tech stuff. Because I remember before YouTube and stuff like that, there was companies like the one that you were doing that would start. I had my first cross country movie played streaming online right at the very beginning.
What channel?
Like it was like before it was like something how you described it. They're located in Santa Monica up on Cloverfield, and it was
you're not talking about Den, are you?
Maybe this is like
Den.net.
They were basically these people probably, I don't know if they were associated with YouTube, but they were the same. It was evolving into that.
We probably knew these people if they were in, because we were on third in Beverly kind of area. That's where the loft was.
Holy shit! I bet
we were right there. And no, we met with all these companies, and just to give you an idea, Fly TV in that year where I spent $200,000 to run the entire company. In that year, we had 3 competitors. One of them was, it might have been called highschool.net or college.net. It was owned by freaking Spielberg. And their plan was exactly what we're doing. This is future programming. This is the future of television, is on the internet. And we're going to be producing our own original shows and putting them out there. And it's great. They started with something like a $28 million budget. And in 14 months that the company existed, they never produced a website or a series, and the money was gone and they closed. And in that same period of time, 2 months shorter or 3 months shorter, we produced 90 episodes of these little shows. So we were up against them. And there was this other company, Den. Now you can look up Den. I think it was den.net. And it turns out there was a documentary done about Den. It was turned out to be some sort of, allegedly, I don't want to get sued, allegedly, a meeting place for gay Hollywood to pick up young boys. So
those kind of websites exist.
No, it wasn't. This is it. It wasn't a website. It was den.net. It's just like television in your den, but the future.
Oh.
But all the shows they came up with were shows that happened to star young teenage boys.
You remember
and they would have no. So they have these shows, and then they would have they would get like a real 14-year-old guy, and the big star, where they get press is, oh, he's coming from Des Moines, where he's from on the farm, and he's living in the den.net mansion in the hills, and that's where they filmed the show, and it's this amazing thing. And then you find out the boys are coming out going, yeah, they kept us there, and they just kept, and then all these there's a famous director whose name I won't mention, who was notoriously
you gotta say
Brian something.
Oh.
Brian something or other, and he might have good vocal cords, you might think, from his name. I'm just leaving it there. But he was involved in the court case and everything, like he was part of it. And so one day the FBI raids this company. We're on the balls of our ass going out of business. Before we came up with the TV show idea, the VCs had just left us, and Den is raided by the FBI, and quickly the doors just get shuttered, and everything that the FBI didn't take was in a dumpster behind the building. We were literally pilfering binders and T-shirts and cup holders. Wow. Anything just to get some value out of something. Let's at least give this to our programmers so they get paid with something this week. Is that bad? Yeah. And they went out of business, and this was all around the same. It was a crazy freaking time. And then maybe a year later, all of a sudden YouTube pops up, and then a year after that, YouTube becomes giant, and all this money getting thrown around, and we just freaking missed it. But I'll tell you, it's a part of my life that if I could change one thing, it would be the timing. But other than that, everything about it was exactly as it should have been. It was crazy, and it was on the fly, and it was amazingly should not have worked. And yet it worked. And the people who worked there loved it. And nobody made any real money. And it was just an amazing time.
Well, that sounds like maybe you should make that movie.
I think that movie's been done, though, hasn't it? I mean, aren't there a million stories? I don't know. I came up with a movie years ago that I still want to get done. And I really wanted to get it done 4 years ago. And you probably don't know this. Steve might know this. You got to stop smoking. You're not 22 anymore. At least start vaping. Start vaping at least.
I vape too.
Yeah, there you go. That's what they say. The doctors say if you're going to do one, double up. What you want to do is you want to freaking double up on it.
I know. I smoke too much.
If you're going to do the heroin, add the cocaine. Go with the speedball. They always say plus the other one. So
they're light cigarettes. They're light.
That matters.
I'll quit these.
That matters.
I'll quit at some point soon.
Well, I was the heaviest smoker there ever was. I smoked 3 packs a day for years. I smoked, for many years it was Parliament, and then it went to Marlboro Lights or Camel Lights or whatever was less than $5 a pack, because it started really getting to me when they got expensive.
Yeah, these lights are $11 to $13 a pack right now.
So So you're stupid on many levels.
Yes. Well, I never claimed to be a smart. I was never claimed to be a smart man.
But aside from that, so I had an idea for a movie, and I'm going to. It's registered, so it's I registered it years ago. But the whole premise, you're probably not familiar with. It was before your time. How old are you, by the way, now? Or can
50,
you not say that?
Oh, check this out. I'm 52.
Okay.
And this is my 52nd episode.
See, I feel it's special. It's a thing.
This has got the synergy punch that I haven't felt since 1999.
Wow. Yeah, I think because you haven't been with anybody who just doesn't shut the fuck up like me.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So my idea for the movie was, okay, you're not familiar with this, I'm sure. You're like on the borderline. There used to be a comedian named Pat Paulson. You know?
The name sounds familiar.
That means no, you don't know him. No,
Okay.
Pat Paulson was a guy who had a fair to midland career, mostly borscht belty, but and he went on Ed Sullivan and shit like that. But every 4 years, his little shtick was, and he would get a boost out of it by running for president. So Pat Paulson for president was a thing, and then you might not see him for a couple of years, and all of a sudden Ed Sullivan, oh look, Pat Paulson's running for president again, and he'd get TV for about 2 months out of it, and that would keep him going on the road. So my premise was. It was a film for Bill Murray. The idea is Bill Murray's this washed-up comic who decides to run for president just to boost his career. Ipso facto, he accidentally wins, and he becomes the president. And instead of it going like the last 4 years went, this turns out very positive, that his off-the-cuff kind of not being in the swamp kind of thing works, and it makes the country a better place. So that was the idea. And once Trump became president, I was like, oh yeah, never gonna be able to sell this. And then once Trump was out, I'm going, oh yeah, I'm gonna try to sell this again now, because people don't want to think about a Trump getting in office, but a good guy getting in office, I think that'd be cool,
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And what year did you write that?
I wrote a full 30-page treatment on that and pitched it to a couple places in like 2000-ish. Maybe one of the last, it was definitely the last feature meeting I ever took in Hollywood. Right around 2000, 2001. And I took a meeting with, I had these are stories I don't get to tell anymore because I don't talk to Hollywood people anymore. Oh. I pitched a show. I had a cartoon series that I created called Cyril and Googie. And Cyril and Googie, the whole premise was this. They were these beings that lived on the dark side of the moon. Now, we don't know about, because we don't see the dark side of the moon, but on that other side of the moon, there's a whole civilization there. And it's basically built around space junk of the 1950s. So the entire look and feel of it is 1950s Futura. I mean, that kind of look, boomerang shapes and stardusts and that kind of thing.
Eames sort of design.
Yes, very much that. And there's two characters, Cyril and Googie. Both of these are, Cyril is the name of a crater on the dark side of the moon. His name's Cyril. So that's a good name for one character. He's like the straight man. And then there's the idiot, and he's Googie. And Googie is the name of that style of architecture. It's called Googie architecture. So I came up with a show called Cyril and Googie. I had an animator come. He drew things, great characters and everything for this. Cyril and Googie. Googie's kind of a fat, dumb guy. Cyril's kind of the skinny, angular kind of smartass. And I pitch it to the Disney Channel. And I'm sitting in this office with this may have been the last animation meeting my manager got me. I'm sitting in the office with the head of comedy programming at the Disney Channel. Head of comedy programming. And I'm doing the pitch and I'm saying, so Cyril and Googie, they have this great relationship, classic relationship. Think of them as a modern day Abbott and Costello. And the guy stops me and goes, okay, now Abbott and Costello, I've heard of them, but they are who exactly? And I literally said, I'm in the wrong office. And I got up and I left. That's a true story, my hand to God. Oh, and so he did not know. He'd heard of Abbott and Costello, so he had that at least going for him. And I'm pretty sure he's lying about that anyway. maybe you heard the words Abbott and Costello, but so that was that. So listen, you don't even get to ask me questions. I just start talking and don't shut the fuck up. And that's kind of my calling. Yeah, well, see, I'm a talker. I apologize. Apologize to him for me.
No, he knew this was gonna. He said, I never usually, I don't go with a script on this show ever, but I called him last night to tell him that I was gonna talk to you today, and I said, is there anything I should talk to him about that maybe might shake, not shake him up in a bad way, but like kind of like
loosen it up and get him talking.
Yeah, and he goes, well, hey, he might not remember this, but when you guys had a really and take over this story as you remember what.
Okay, tell me. I love this stuff, especially when I don't remember. I love this stuff.
Yeah, it's like finding a needle in a haystack in your memory bank. So he said that you guys were doing something with a dog named Spike, and at the you're pitching it to a really big female executive, like higher up, and pitching her the cartoon about Spike was a dog or something like that. And there's three little children in it, and they wanted to the ending of the episode of the cartoon that you guys were pitching was, and I'm butchering the story, but was about the kids get on the dog's back and ride off into the sunset.
Okay, I remember this. You're misremembering it. Absolutely. No, it was literally an episode of Rugrats. Spike was the dog on the Rugrats. And we did have an episode where we said, and then Tommy rides off on Spike's back. And that became an issue because the kids couldn't ride the dog or something like that. Is that the story?
Yes, continue.
And then I don't know if there's any more to tell. I just remember Steve and I think.
Do you remember the poster that was on the wall behind her when she said the kids can't ride on a dog's back?
I think it was probably a picture of the kid riding on the dog. Was it the kids from our show? Was it actually a Rugrats poster?
I think so.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I didn't really remember that part, but I do remember Steve and I turned to each other and going, so the kids can't ride on the dog's back, because I think she said it wasn't believable. I said, but they had no problem with these kids going on a 3-dimensional journey to the center of the earth by going under the couch. That was fine. You know, it was just, we ran into that a lot. It's funny. When we got hired onto Rugrats, we were told, and Steve probably remembers this, we were told we were there to bring a more Simpsons feel. They wanted layers of jokes for the adults. Mm-hmm. And then we busted our asses to try to get 1 or 2 of them in every couple episodes because they really did not want it. We had to hide a lot of shit. You know, wow. Where are you from originally? You're from California?
I was born in Oregon and I was raised in San Jose, California. And
gotcha.
I have a permanent residence over in Oregon right now, but I'm in LA.
Yeah, permanent resident. You don't call prison a permanent resident. It's supposed to be temporary.
No, I have actually, my mailing address is in Oregon.
Okay.
So I am technically just visiting LA right now.
So a P.O. box in Oregon.
A P.O. box.
And a cardboard box in LA.
Yeah, underneath the Cloverfield and the 405.
I haven't been in LA in a couple of years, but I hear it's lots of people camping in the street.
Super fun.
Is it no, seriously, is it bad? Is it really bad?
Venice got pretty gnarly. I've had a few conversations on some of these podcasts with about the situation over there where, you know, it's being cleaned up right now over the last like 3 weeks or since July 4th. They came in with some special agents and mediators that would be sort of like they could talk through like people that help homeless people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
advocates.
What's that?
Advocates.
Or like people that do that. Yeah, advocates. And but it's gotten pretty gnarly. Some people have died, and you know, and it looked like a shit show. I don't know. I haven't been through there lately, but I mean, they seem like they're cleaning it up. And
that's good.
Yeah, but it was it's been rough over there. But I got some footage of it. But yeah.
Let me ask you this now: any other stories that Steve brought up?
I think that was the one.
That was the one.
Yeah.
I have so many fragments of memories with Steve, just things that there's a story I still tell to people today. and this is the story. We were working on a show called, well, originally it was called Igor, but it was renamed as Toonsylvania. It was a cartoon, and it was for Steven Spielberg. And we never got to meet him. I think he was in Poland doing Schindler's List at the time. But he read every script and gave notes on every script. And I remember we wrote this. We thought it was funny, and it was sent off on like a Wednesday or a Thursday to Poland via fax, like a 16-page script. And it's 16 pages of notes come back the next day. And this is normally what it was. And the story we heard was, I believe he had a fax machine in his trailer in the bathroom. So he would read the script on the toilet, make notes, and fax the notes back. So we do this one episode, and it comes back, and we're waiting. Oh, notes was on Friday. So it went out on a Thursday. We get notes in the middle of the night. Friday, we handle notes. So we get in on Friday, and we sit with the showrunner, and he says, Bill says, okay, we got notes from Steven. Here's what he said. And this, I think I have the words exactly how we wrote them. Love, love, love this script. I have one note. On page 7, where it says Dr. Frankenstein spits on a tissue, or I'm sorry, where Granny spits on a tissue and wipes Frankenstein's face, can we change that to hucks up a man-sized loogie? And Steve and I look at each other and we go, absolutely. We go to the office. We hadn't even put our bags down yet. We go in the office, we go, hucks up a man-sized loogie, print, and we went home for the day. We literally were at work for 20 minutes. We go for have a long weekend, this wonderful time. We come in Monday morning, and now it's notes from the studio, from Fox. And the note from Fox, now this I may be exaggerating a little bit, but it was almost the identical note. Love this story. We have one note. Where it says hawks up a man-sized loogie, we think that's a little bit too visceral. Could we change it to spits on a tissue? And we were this wasn't written. This was in a conference room at around a table with the showrunner and Fox, right? So they say that note, could we change it to spits on a tissue? And we just looked at each other, looked at them and said, well, that was Steven's note. Steven wrote that. And they went, okay, we're good then. And then that was it. So it was the easiest script to get through on both levels. And the way we got it through on the Fox level was because it was Steven's joke.
Wow.
That's a story I tell a lot.
So did that ever get made?
Oh yeah, that was a series called Toonsylvania. You could probably still rent it now somewhere.
Yeah. I think they still have it in VHS.
We did the first season of it together. We did
And what year was that?
This was again all late 90s, mid-late 90s, after Rugrats, before the sitcom. So I'd say maybe 95-ish, 96. And
wow.
Also, we got to be there for that as they were casting, and they're auditioning Mel Brooks. They're auditioning Sid Caesar. So we got to see these guys in the booth. Sid Caesar was kind of a dick. Mel Brooks. Kind of a dick. And then, of course, who gets the job? Mel Brooks didn't even want to audition. They begged him to go and read. He just didn't want to work. He's just like, I don't want to have to work. Please, that kind of thing. Wayne Knight. So it wasn't as cool as the people who auditioned. Oh, Buddy Hackett went in and read, and Wayne Knight got the job. So,
did you ever meet Buddy Hackett?
Met him at the audition. Yeah.
What was he like?
He was Buddy Hackett. He's always like wants to make you laugh. He's funny. He's always wanting to tell a joke, tell a story. Oh, let me tell you about the time it was me in red buttons. Like that kind of thing. He likes telling the big stories.
Do you remember the movie that was made? Okay, Gilbert Gottfried does a little joke on this, but like Gilbert Gottfried, Buddy Hackett and Corman, Harvey Korman.
They did Abbott and Costello. I remember, it's horrible. It's a horrible, horrible movie because Costello, you could not forget it was Buddy Hackett. You always need to put a no name in there. Do you remember?
Well, the quote at the end when when Elvis or Costello is dying on his deathbed, and Harvey Korman, is by his side. He gives him a chocolate malt milkshake. He goes, I've a lot of malt milkshakes in my day. This is the worst, but.
Hey, Eddie, I had a lot of strawberry malteds in my life, you know that? Of all of them I ever had. Boy, Eddie, this one's the best.
The Hackett impression ever, but this is the best one.
Oh God, that was a TV movie, wasn't it?
Yes, yes.
Well, you know, did you ever see the Belushi movie, the movie about him back in the 80s, 90s?
No, Cheadle or Cheagle.
No, it was what's his name? I think you're thinking of the right guy. Wrong name. His name is Michael Chiklis.
Yeah, Chiklis.
I auditioned for that. Part. I sent in a video on that in like 1985 before I even moved to LA. I sent a video, and it was for Mike. He's a big casting guy. I never got it, obviously, but that was, at least Chiklis was a nobody then, so you could kind of suspend disbelief and kind of think he was Belushi.
He didn't look like Belushi, though. He didn't
look like him, but he kind of had the manic energy down, but that's about it. And then he went on to play Curly in the Three Stooges movie.
Well, he's just trying to kill all our comedy heroes.
No, he's trying to live off all the already killed comedy heroes.
He's living off the dead bodies, the corpses of dead comics.
Michael Leachless. Go ahead.
Wait, there was, because Dan Aykroyd got really mad about that movie and was trying to be halted.
His wife too was pissed about that, because the book, they were all pissed because the book supposedly wasn't true. I think it was the one written by Bob Woodward. Wired. That's right. That was the movie. And I think that was written by Woodward, I think. Or maybe Carl Bernstein, one of those.
But they painted him in a really negative light.
Apparently, they painted him in the exact light he was. But the people who supported Belushi were more about, you're not really painting the whole round picture. You're not showing the sweetness of the man. Well, this isn't a book about that. This is about the crazy drug-induced guy. So
yeah, when he died, I remember walking home from school, and there's a news caption that came on: John Belushi dead at whatever, 37 or something like that, or whatever.
32, I think.
32. Yeah, and I remember being like, just like, that was my Kennedy assassination moment. Remember that time. There's we're gonna have to wrap it up here soon, but I know that what are you doing now?
I've been in for the last 15 years. Okay, so I left LA. I got married. My wife wanted to start a family, and I did not want to raise children in Los Angeles. I always wanted kids. Steve will tell you that. So I told my wife, I said, there's a problem. The problem is I don't believe I'm employable anywhere else in the world, because I've been in LA my entire adult life doing television in some form or another. And also I was getting to that age. I was 39, I think at the time, or 40. And I was getting to the age where if you're not a big shot in television by that age, the phone's going to stop ringing. You're no longer the young, you're old. So I happened to come across this idea of a course that taught people how to write copywriting to sell stuff, called direct response copywriting. I got into it, took a course, got really good at it really fast because I'm a storyteller. I know how to write real stuff. So writing about products is easy because I have all that real writing stuff behind me. So I got really good at it really fast, started my own company. I had about 3 or 4 guys working under me, and then did that until like last year. And then basically 90% retired, just relax. I live on a golf course. I play golf. I wake up late. Yes, the other day when we were supposed to talk and you got the time wrong, I couldn't do later in the day because I had a tea time. So
yeah.
So, but that's it. But I tell you, between you and me, getting a little bored. It's been about a year and a half now where I have not had to work for anybody. I've talked to some clients and given them some help, but I'm starting to run out of things to do. I hated the grind when I had deadlines and all this, but I'm getting to the point where I'm kind of looking for something that'll jazz me, something that'll kind of, make me want to wake up.
Can you do like any small productions with maybe using a DSLR or anything that's around that place? Maybe creating.
Are you saying you need camera work? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I actually have an idea. I actually do have an idea. there'd be no budget. So we would have to, if we were to do something like this. I had this idea for doing, I've been binging over the last year. I've been binging The Office. Have you watched The Office?
Of course.
It's worth watching many times. Just expertly pulled off this fake documentary thing.
It's the best thing Carell's ever done.
Second best. Carell also starred in a direct-to-video America's Funniest Home Videos Uncensored that I wrote and produced. So he was better in that probably.
As a host?
Yeah, he hosted. He was the Bob Saget.
Yeah, how do we pull that up?
I don't know. Look for it. I haven't seen it. I have the tape here somewhere. It was VHS. What the hell do I know?
Also, hey, transfer all that VHS footage too, because all those tapes are not going to be any good. You need to get all those things that you have saved on VHS or other devices, like mini DVDs or whatever. Get those transferred immediately. The videotapes are disintegrating. You won't be able to play them. They'll be lost forever.
And now where you tell me your website for doing video transfer.
I don't have time for that shit. I got to make these.
Well, listen. So I have this idea for a show where it's a documentary being done, kind of like The Office, small cast, 5 or 10 minute episodes, and it takes place at a golf course. And I figured it's going to be shot in my backyard, and 4 or 5 golfing buddies, and they're your typical characters. And it's a documentary being made about these guys, and just little stories. So I was thinking about possibly shooting a pilot for that.
Where are you?
I'm in North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
I'll come and direct that. I'll shoot that shit out of that, man. Let me know.
Well, listen. Have your people send me your reel so I can see. No, I'm just kidding.
Go to my website, brettwoods.com. brettwoods.com. And you can see all my little movies. I completed a lot of film projects this last year. Last couple of years, I kind of dug in and edited a lot. I finished some clean edits on some stuff that was, you got rough cuts and anyways,
I get it.
But the sound design is fucking paramount. It's
excellent.
So fucking important for sound. And I know that's been tried and true. People know this shit already, but to do the proper sound design for a project elevates it to a stratosphere of completion.
You've mastered that, huh?
What's that?
No, you say what you said again.
So I've been able to finish all my short films with a proper clean edit and sound design. You can find those on my website under my film section. But
I will definitely look.
But also these podcasts have been a really good way to actually facilitate my needing to do things and be
creatively. I gotcha.
So it's been a very cathartic sort of thing, and also I get to talk to people like you.
I want you to know it's a big thrill for you because I never do the video podcast.
I am thrilled.
And if I do, I shave. I try to earlier I was wearing a shirt. I slept
younger than what I remember you.
Well, I was sick then. But no, not that. I mean, I feel pretty good for 58 years old, pretty damn good.
Did you get vaccinated?
Oh yeah. God, yeah.
What do you think about this whole thing?
The whole what? Vaccination or the whole pandemic?
Both.
Listen, let me tell you something. I got the vaccination because I had to, but we all know that this has to do with the 5G network. It has to do with the flat earth. There is no Australia. It's all bullshit. And Trump won. Don't we all know this stuff already?
That's what I'm trying to convince everybody by doing these podcasts. The whole reason why I do these podcasts is so I can I hate God damn it.
No, yeah, can't stand it. Listen, I was a Republican for years. I abandoned my party in 2016 when I realized he was going to get the nomination. I said, oh, fuck. Because I thought it was a joke up to that point. And then he got the nomination. And 2016, I said, I can't vote for him. Now, I didn't like Hillary, but I said, I can't vote for him. So I'm going to do something that since I started voting, which I started pretty late, not till I was in my 30s, but I had never skipped a presidential election. I said, I'm going to sit out. And then he won. And then for 4 years, I fucking blamed myself. Like if I would have just me and people like me would have just gotten off our asses and voted against him, he wouldn't have been president. And
that was such
so
a
that's
fucking slimy situation though. With the Russians was involved. Hillary fucking threw Bernie underneath the bus and snapped
it's
him
pretty
up.
fucked up situation.
Bernie should have ran and won. He would have won against fucking Trump. If you know, do you remember when Trump said, "If he pays me $5 million, I'll debate Bernie"? Bernie raised the money and said, and he said, "Okay,"
and he wouldn't debate him.
And he didn't do it.
Of course not.
That would have been that was the debate we all wanted to see.
Well, that was Trump's way of basically trying to say, look how cool I am. You'll never be able to come up with 5 million. I could come up with 5 million in a minute. You couldn't. And then he does. And listen, he's a horrible, horrible human being. Can't believe he was president. Can't believe there are people who are still wish he was president. That blows my mind.
My mom is a Trump supporter, and it's been very divisive in our relationship because we only talk about things that are surface talk now. Because if we start getting into politics or religion, it gets really bad. And she watches Fox all the time. And I just don't know. I lived with them in Oregon for a while, and it was such a sort of like, you know, their family. I love my mom, love you, mom. But it's like I don't get it. I just don't. And it's like some people pertain to it being a cult.
It absolutely is.
You know, she's 77 years old now, and I don't know if it's an old lineage, you know, and this is, you know, I don't get it. I don't think people like the fact that he's an asshole. They identify with it. They want it. They like being associated with being an asshole.
Here's what gets me. I live in the South now, and while it's a new South and it's a lot more progressive than you would think, you know, North Carolina was about 50-50 on the election. You know, we have a Democratic governor, things like that. But in North Carolina, you've got people here who are some of them are so fervently in support of him. They say, like, I have neighbors on you're familiar with Nextdoor? It's kind of like Facebook for neighborhoods. So if you live in a certain subdivision, you get to join your subdivision's page. And it's basically neighbors talking about that weird guy coming door to door, or my dog got out, you know, shit like that.
Yeah.
But then people start these political conversations, and my God, people say shit like, I can't believe this travesty pedophile Joe got elected, and we are now going to miss out on 4 more years of the best president this country has ever had. And here's my thing. I think you're crazy if you think Trump was good. But okay, you have your opinion. But for you to go past everything in the world to say the best president ever, better than Lincoln, better than Washington, better than Kennedy, the best president, better than the king of the Republican Party, Ronald Reagan, they call him the best. That's where you get to the point where your opinion should not matter anymore. At that point, if you think you can look past it, I don't think any person who voted for him that has half a brain could say he was the best president ever. And he's just horrible, horrible, horrible. Just a bad guy.
But it's also the association that people want to have with him. There's this, like I was, where was I? I was over someplace, and this is in Thousand Oaks, I think. Some fucking Yahoo fucking had all these fucking banners and flags and shit all over his fucking car, like in the back of the truck, you know, it's like, so you're saying you're an asshole.
Well, here's the thing, though. Not only they really have this feeling. First of all, they buy into the whole bullshit that he's a hit maker. You know, the man is, everything he touches turns to gold, when we know everything he touches eventually turns to bankruptcy, and sometimes it immediately turns to bankruptcy. I tell this story during the election. I told it to anybody who would listen. It's a true story. Saw it on 60 Minutes or whatever. You know, that the deep state fake news of 60 Minutes. I don't know how they've lasted 70 years or whatever, but
deep state.
Deep state. And they told this story about how, you know, he got his tax variances in New Jersey for one of his casinos because he promised to hire all local people for everything. And one of the things he had to do was he had to change all the doors and windows in the casino. And it was like 4,000 windows or something. He hired a company from New Jersey to do it. They made all these custom doors and windows. A local bank from New Jersey had to finance it. They built all these windows and doors, put them all in, and Trump stiffed them on the money. He got the tax break, ended up getting all the shit for free, and put this window company that had been in existence for like 50 years out of business. They literally had to fold. And that's the man who was going to save America somehow.
Yeah, he's a prick.
The worst, just a horrible, horrible human being. So he's the guy, after all those years, after all the years of Steve trying to get me to lead the Republican Party, not that he ever did, but he always would, he was very liberal, and I was somewhat, I called myself a bleeding heart conservative. I was one of these people that just stay out of my life, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was like, listen, I don't care who gay people have sex with, just let's not call it marriage. I used to think that when I was younger. Now, listen, marry whoever the hell you want. I don't care,
Yeah, if you can find love in this silly, silly world, more power.
I used to make a joke all the time. Of course gays should be able to marry. Why should straight people be the only miserable ones?
Well, and
it's not fair.
Why would you want to control the actions? Who are you to tell somebody what they can fucking do with their body? What the
that's the thing. When I was younger, I had this, listen, you could have all the same rights as us, but you don't have to call it what we call it. Come up. It was just me being ignorant, naive, just, I was young. But so I'm past all of that. And now for all the years of Steve being so liberal and me kind of a little bit digging my heels in to stay on that right side of the line, slightly, but on that right side, I'm completely done. I'm not a Republican anymore.
What's so funny is that as you become more that way, Steve has become more conservative.
Well, that has something to do with Steve's neighborhood. Steve does live in the neighborhood, but yeah, listen, I think maybe we both had a place to get to. Maybe I needed to get a little bit left and he needed to get a little bit right. Maybe we're in the sweet spot. Who knows?
Yeah, I think the best work is yet to come. Hey, check us out. We went long, and I'm gonna just.
Sorry.
I want to continue talking, but also want to. Is there anything that people can see what you've done, or how, not necessarily to shameless self-promotion, but maybe how people can find you? Or
well, you can find Vinny Montello on IMDb. You
Okay.
can find my television stuff there. Montellomarketing.com if you want me to consult on a launch of some product or something. I can still do some phone call consultations. If you want to play a round of golf, I'll host you. Come to North Carolina.
we're shooting that. We're gonna shoot that. I got camera equipment. I got mics.
I love it.
I got a steady cam.
I love it. Well, you can't be too steady. It's got to look like a documentary, remember?
No, you can. Well, I bought the steady cam. I have yet to use it. It seems like because there's stabilization and post now. It seems like, and everything's so. It's almost like it's like $400. I haven't even used it. Like,
I got you. Well, listen, you can get on a good phone. You can get pretty decent stabilization.
I got this new. I literally just got it. I got the new iPhone Pro Max 12. That fucker is so pretty. I don't even want to touch it. But I have a sweet Sony A7 III. That thing is beautiful. Anyways, Sony's known for their being able to shoot at night. So
okay.
You don't get that fog,
and you don't have to light it as much.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, that's cool.
But
well, very cool. So listen, we should do that. So IMDb, you can also, if you go to I think it's IMDb, the streaming site, you can watch my big feature film debut in the End God Spoke film.
Yeah, why does that sound?
It was from the 90s. It was a big mockumentary. It was like the Spinal Tap of movie making, and I had one of the top 20 roles in it. I worked like 2 weeks on it, and I played Scooter, the former Hell's Angel Grip, and that's it. Do you know Chris Bono?
Where'd you
know Chris Bono? We shot it in L.A. many years ago. Yeah,
Bono. I did. He was on the podcast.
Well, Bono was my roommate for a while after the Northridge earthquake. He was my roommate. We did that movie together, me and Bono.
You have a good Chris Bono story that you can tell us real quick?
Chris Bono, just so fucking talented. First of all, what do I have? Chris Bono's story. After the Northridge earthquake, his apartment was condemned. He needed a place to move. I needed a roommate. Invited him in. And, you know, it was rough at the time because nobody was working. And I don't know if I should tell this story. He was young though. I'm not trying to, I love him. I love this man. And he turned into such, like, his art is amazing and he's just great. But he was having trouble back then. And the one thing I said was, listen, I am never late with rent. You can be my roommate. You just got to have your rent done on time. He said, absolutely. And he moved in and immediately did not have rent. I mean, like, just moved this stuff in. And literally I said, well, what are you selling? And he goes, what? I go, you're having a yard sale. And he literally, we had a yard sale that week and he sold shit to make up rent. But I mean, that's how things were back then.
That's a movie. That's like that whole,
there you go.
Chris Bono as roommates.
Well, we talked about how it was very Odd Couple, very much Odd Couple. But I love him. I seriously, to the day he moved out, I love that guy. I think the biggest problem we may have had was for a while there, I think after I got off the sitcom or whatever I was working on, or maybe it was before that, but I was working. But once I wasn't working and I was home, he was home all the time. So it was two people in this apartment all the time together. And I think that may be what led to us leaving. I don't even know what, he may have just was moving. I don't know.
I'm sure that must have, did you guys make food together? And
sometimes, yeah, he was more of a cook than me. I was literally, let me run to Carl's and get what I get all the time. It's on the corner, it's easy.
What was it? Do you remember him cooking?
I think maybe, I don't remember. I want to say pasta, because it was, again, nobody had money. So it was whatever you could afford.
A lot of top ramen.
I think he may have introduced me to ramen. I don't think I ever heard of ramen before him. But yeah, so Chris and I worked on that movie together. He played the gaffer. I was the grip. And we both worked with Soupy Sales, which was kind of fun.
What was he like?
Always with the old stories, and I didn't really know what he was doing. He was kind of out of touch, kind of like just being Soupy Sales, but that's what they hired him for. They hired him to play Soupy Sales.
Yeah,
and no one's better suited. But you can watch it for free on IMDb. It's a fun documentary about making.
What's the name of it again?
And God Spoke. It's the story of the Bible. And so the basic premise is two low budget filmmakers somehow get a deal to make the Bible epic. And it starts off from the beginning. It's fucked. I mean, the script comes in at 800 pages. They got to start cutting out all the boring parts. So now they're getting to just the highlights. And then they shoot for like a week and the studio pulls funding. And now they've got to like mortgage their lives and borrow and to just try to get funding. There's one joke I love in it. It starts out where their whole plan is we're going to get Brando to play God. And they get money from the studio to make this movie. It's like $50 million, something big at the time. And there's one stipulation though, they have Danny DeVito under contract. So Danny DeVito has to play God. So that they make a kind of a compromise there. Okay, well, DeVito can do it. And then by the time they lose the money, boom, Soupy Sales coming down from the mountain. Oh, he's Moses, not God. Moses is the character. Uh-huh. And it's Soupy Sales playing the part. So it was going to be Brando. Then it was going to be Danny DeVito. Ended up being Soupy Sales. And then they really have no money. Soupy Sales comes down with the 10 Commandments and a 6-pack of Coke, the miracle elixir from the heavens, because they had to put product placement in to finish it. Oh. It's a funny movie and chock full of stars in this movie. Stars everywhere. People who were not stars at the time.
That's fun.
So yeah, you'll see a lot of people in there. Got to work with Lou Ferrigno. That was kind of fun.
Yeah,
and it was Lou.
I just saw a documentary, or he just had an ear implant done into his skull.
Well, that's good.
I saw that like a couple days ago, and he was hearing better for the first time.
Don't you think though, at his age, well, he's got to be 70 something, right?
Yeah, he's
maybe.
I saw him in person at a Chick-fil-A or something like that a long time ago, or there's a place on Rose and Main Street that it was like, anyways, and I saw him in line, and I didn't want to. It was Lou Ferrigno. And as a child, I grew up with the Hulk.
Of course.
The Hulk.
Of course.
How that was, and I didn't want to bother him because it's like you don't want to meet your. I wanted to keep him as a legend.
Of course, you never want to meet your idols.
I was like, wait, hold on. I don't want to, blow the. I had a thing with. I'm digressing and I'm interrupting your story, but it's kind of funny because sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes. Chuck Jones was my hero. growing up, and Tex Avery.
Uh-huh.
They're the how I started visually, and
I know Steve too. Steve is very big on both of those.
and so Chuck Jones was having a show in Beverly Hills, and I just moved to LA, and I don't know if I had a car, and I didn't want to take a bus to Beverly Hills to meet him, but he was there, and the ladies all, yeah, come by and say hi to Chuck, and I was like, I got the phone and I was like, I don't know, I didn't want to meet him for some reason, and apparently he hated Jim Carrey.
Really?
Yeah, Jim Carrey is sad because his idol Chuck Jones didn't like him. He called him a buffoon or a buffoonery or something. I don't know.
Because a lot of what they did with Carrie and the Mask was very Chuck Jones-ish.
Tex Avery.
Tex Avery. The thing I wanted to say was a couple things real quick. Steve and I got to meet what's his name? Mel Brooks.
Yep.
at the studio. I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. I'm so excited because I met him twice as well.
Well, I don't remember if the auditions for Igor, if he actually ever came in. I think he did, but I know we met him when we worked on a sitcom at I guess it was Sony, MGM, whatever the studio's done on Culver. And when we worked on a sitcom, Steve and I, we were in the commissary and we're online to get lunch, and right in front of us is Mel Brooks. He had his offices there. And I remember Steve just taps me, and he goes, and I look, and it's Mel Brooks. So I tap Steve back, and Steve and I start having a totally fake conversation loud enough for him to hear. So it's like I'm going, but as if he's not supposed to be hearing. And it went something like this. Yeah, I know. It's Mel Brooks. And he goes, yeah, don't let him hear you. And we skip one back for, I mean, what am I going to say? Mel freaking Brooks. And we back and forth until finally he kind of half turned around and laughed. And that's when we kind of felt like, oh, that was the coolest thing that ever happened to us. So that was kind of fun.
He's a great guy. Can I tell you my Mel Brooks story real quick?
Please.
Okay.
It's your podcast.
Okay, so
so this is probably a two-parter now, isn't it?
I'm gonna edit this as one.
Okay.
The only reason to break it up into a 60-minute form is so I can put it on Instagram.
Gotcha.
So
Wait, have I given you permission to put this on Instagram? I don't remember ever being asked about that.
No, you did that when we figured out the vocal thing and the video thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Actually, no one will ever see this anyways, so it's just for me and you anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
Deal.
This is just, who I don't even know who the audience is out there. If you're out there, push those likes. I don't know what the hell is going on. Anyways,
like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, I'm not monetizing this, so there's no. I found. Anyways, my Mel Brooks story is.
Here's the weird thing. Before you tell your story, the odd thing is you're not monetizing this. Somehow I am.
Perfect.
That's all I'm
if
saying.
If you can make a buck through this, Mr. Montello.
I made $40,000 in the last 20 minutes doing this.
Perfect. If you want a little piece of that sometime, let me know. Put it towards the budget.
Listen.
Hey, put that towards the budget of the golf movie. I'll be over there.
It's okay. Deal. So go ahead. Tell me your story.
Okay. So the first time I met him, he was I worked at the movie theater Sayufi in San Jose, California, the Century 23 theater, and he was at the premiere, the audience showing, because they would test movies out in San Jose a lot. That was an epicenter of testing films out. They showed the test audience of The Fly.
Okay.
And he produced that movie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he also did. He produced Elephant Man as well.
I knew that. I didn't know about The Fly.
He's an auteur when it comes to producing.
A lot of people don't know. He also produces those apartments.com commercials.
Does he?
No.
Okay.
Jeff Goldblum.
Which goes into your fly.com that you earlier.
Fly TV. Flytv.net.
I made a Pence Fly hat. I should show it. I made a white hat with a black fly on it. Nobody bought any. But I thought it was funny at the time. But so I met him, and I had David Cronenberg directed The Fly, and so Mel Brooks dropped his seating ticket, so I took Mel Brooks' seating ticket where they saved his seat with his name on it. with David Cronenberg. I said, I love your work. And he signed, I said, can you sign this for me? And David Cronenberg signed it from one scanner to another.
Oh, cool.
And
that's really cool.
That was really cool. I have that somewhere, so I don't know if it's lost or not. So the second time I met him real quick, and I know we're just gonna, this is my birthday episode, 52.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. The second time I just got out of the theater watching Spider in Santa Monica, California at the New Art. And Mel Brooks was standing there with Anne Bancroft.
Uh-huh.
And I just came out of the theater watching Spider, and I don't know if you know how trippy that fucking movie is, because he produced that movie too. David Cronenberg.
I did not know that.
And that movie was so great. And I'd just gotten really high and stoned before I went to the movie theater. And
shh, there's somebody behind you.
I know. There's people all around me all the time. Fly.net, baby. Hey, woo, woo, woo. I love it. You guys should have some promos with that. Like
pretty good graphics, though.
Yeah, those are good. That's a nice.
Pretty good 20-year-old graphics.
It works. It works. Is what's new is actually it looks really relevant. You know, everything's going to be like, you know, that look. People want that look.
That was really cool for 1999 or whatever. Yeah, very cool. I was senior VP of development.
So real quick, I want to finish this story because it's
Cronenberg.
I walked out of the theater, and Bancroft, fucking Mel Brooks, waiting for their car, and I said, Mr. Brooks or something, and Anne Bancroft was. This is before she passed away, obviously. She was
no, really, obviously.
She was like,
it was right after she passed away. You bumped into the casket.
I was like, hey, no, what the fuck? And she was smiling, really smiley at me. And he was like, oh, what's your name, kid? I was all, Brett. He's all, Brett what? I was all, Brett Woods. He's all, okay, Brett Woods. And he said my name.
Wow.
That just made my heart do something special.
That's beautiful. We had, when we met with Mel Brooks that time at lunch, he also, we called his office a few days later to try to get him. We wanted him to read. We had a spec Dick Van Dyke script that we were passing around. We wanted him to read it and get it to Carl Reiner. And I don't know if we ever got it to Carl Reiner, but we talked to him on the phone where he said he would. So I remember that we did get him on the phone, which was kind of cool.
I met Carl Reiner when I first moved to LA. He was at the Whole Foods in Beverly Hills. And I just, it was probably like 1994, 95. And because I was a Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid fan, like hardcore. Like I saw that in the theater like a few times.
You're the guy.
And I said, Mr. Reiner, I just want to tell you, I really like Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. And he kind of looked, he's a tall guy. He's like, oh yeah, that was a fun one.
Wow, cool.
And so, but it's so funny how like we grow older, I think we're cinephiles, I mean, I just want to I'm not going to make a lot of movies, but I definitely want to make Return to Sender. Well, I have some other movies I want to make, but I think but also your golf thing sounds interesting too. But like the jokes for Return to Sender, the thing is that they're solid. I like the fact that they are built on a foundation that's so like I like a joke a minute. Young Frankenstein, Airplane, boom, 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 boom. But what were some of your influences as a filmmaker or as a creative growing up? What was it really made you want to do what you do?
Listen, this is a whole separate thing. Yeah, don't worry, buddy. I'm getting off soon. Don't worry. Yeah, no, Sky just won't shut up. Yeah, we're good.
What's happening? What, you guys are taking off?
No, I don't have any more crack. How about you?
These are my friends' parents, and they're visiting her from out of town.
Well, parents, get out here and wave to the camera. Come on.
Come on, don't be shy. Don't wait on me. This is a stupid little podcast.
Come on, wave. Say hello.
Oh.
Don't be so stuck up. Hey, nice to see you.
This is Vinny Montello.
Wow, you look like a freaking gangster.
Thank you.
You look like you should have your throat slit in a barber chair.
I'm a Canadian gangster. Gangster. Canadian. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm strong.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. We're coming back though. You come back tonight? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I'll see you later. Okay.
All right, man. Listen, I will let you go.
No.
If you ever want to do this again on your 104th birthday,
Awesome.
just let me know.
Now,
if you ever want to talk more, because again, I got millions of stories and nobody in my life who cares to hear them. So
well, we care over here at with Friends. Okay, so anything do you want to say anything to Steve or Julie?
tell Steve and Julie I love them. I miss them. I can't wait to see them again at some point. What can I say? I mean, Steve was a huge influence on my life. Julie was the archetype of a wife that I looked for when I found my wife. Just a wonderful, great lady. Miss them both, love them both, and I hope that they are doing great.
Oh, here's a question right before we leave, because this is related to Steve and Julie. Steve and Julie asked, this is the only question that I've ever asked on this show that I didn't write, but and it was meant for a few different people, but I've gotten different answers. Steve and Julie from the Los Angeles, California area are asking, what are your thoughts on NFTs?
Listen, I'll be completely honest. 20 years ago, I would have had a very well planned response to that, but now I will instead have an honest response. I've read into it. I still don't freaking get it. I don't understand why owning the original of a digital file is any different than a copy of a digital file, because after all, it's still a fucking digital file. So I don't get it. And it also seems if it's ones and zeros, like a live piece of art, you would have to get brush stroke and chemical compound and weathering right. But if it's just zeros and ones, can't that be not only easily faked, but perfectly duplicated as many times as you want? It seems like there's nothing to buy. I mean, it seems like really what you're buying is you're buying the rights to it, because everybody owns it already. You just have the right to use it. And the prices some of these things are going for.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did you say NFT? At the end, I was going to make a joke like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about bagels." No. So yeah, what were you going to say?
I think Cara Delevingne just sold a picture of her vagina on it or something like that.
And let me ask you something. How many guys already have that picture in their mind anyway?
Actually, if you go to Pornhub, she's on there. It's full display.
Is she really?
Yeah. She's got. I guess before she became an actress, she was did a couple pornos. Just master.
Well, I'm gonna sell the NFT of my Pornhub login.
Oh,
see how that sells.
Now we're talking.
Well, there's got to be like a whole porn NFT market now.
Yeah, isn't that called like
porn? I believe that's called porn.
Oh, what's porn?
Porn? I don't know. I heard rumors of it.
When we were young, we had to dig around the garbage for porn. And now
when I was a kid, when I was a kid, I used to have to masturbate uphill both ways in the snow
with the magazine taped to your head, to your eyeball.
Well, I used to have it rolled up my ass, but that was me.
Well,
I was different.
Kids got
we all used the material in different ways. Listen, I love that question too. NFTs, one thing just confuses the fuck out of me. I don't get Bitcoin. I don't understand that whole thing either. I don't understand how you can.
I like tangible things. I like when I sell a painting for like $500 or something. $250 of that right back into material.
Yeah, I know. I get that.
I don't like if money's not being used. I don't like it.
I'll be honest. I don't mind intangible. I own some stocks and stuff like that where I never touched the paper, but I know I own them. But I know they're based on tangible things. This Bitcoin, where it's just like, well, it's money that has no central location, and I go, well, how's that work? Can't I just get my own hard drive and say this is money with no here? Yeah, I know. Get Vincoin. Everybody buy some Vincoin. It's very cheap right now.
I farted in my hand, and that's got value.
Fart coin. Everybody wants to own a couple thousand fart coin.
Oh, okay. So billionaires in space. What do you think? Thoughts?
I think it's a good idea. We should send them all. No, is that not what you were looking for? I think it's crazy that you're wasting the money on that. And also, it would be different if one of these fucking billionaires actually went to space. Just because you can see space does not mean you're in space. You go to a strip club and you see a gorgeous babe naked, doesn't mean you fucked her. You just saw her.
Yeah, and what about Bezos's thing that he was saying, like, thanks to all the employees and thanks to all the customers, you paid for this?
I want to thank you for your lack of health care put me up in space. Great. Yeah, no, he's just crazy. Just out of touch. Rich people don't get it, you know.
So, this is like we're living in the future.
Or are we living in the past?
Future past. Well, maybe it's a combo. But,
maybe. Ooh, I got it. Maybe it all comes back around and we are actually living in the present.
Well, and on that note, present.
Boy, this was fun before it turned to shit, huh?
Yeah, well, do you have any zingers you want to jab in there towards the end?
No, I just, it's great talking to you, Brett. Great to talk about Steve and Julie. I love them and I miss them and listen, if I could go
on the show, I actually talked to him last night on the phone. I was like, I know you don't want to do it. I know, but we don't have to promote anything. We don't have to do anything. We just talk about anything. And we don't.
You can let him know I didn't want to do it either, but I did it and it was fun.
Good. So there's the endorsement.
There you go.
Right there, Mr.
For what that's worth.
Yeah.
All right, pal.
Let's do this again. Let's.
Anytime you want.
I got your number. Let's talk about the golf thing because I'm serious. I'm not.
Absolutely.
I'm a doer.
Next time we do video, though, it's going to be offline. It's just going to be us talking. Nobody gets to watch me on video. I charge so much extra for the visuals.
Well, I'm glad I got a really good deal.
You got a hell of a deal.
But you look good.
Yeah, well, that's very sweet of you to say. It's very nice.
That doesn't sound like I'm surprised.
Well, you do sound very surprised. All right, pal. Good talking to you.
See you, man.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Vinny Montello.
Yay, Brett Woods.
That was hell fun. That was good time, baby. All right. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks for watching. Share, subscribe. Touch yourself. Talk to you soon. Anything else? Oh, BrettWoods.com. Brett Woods on Instagram. BrettWoods22. All right. Cheers. I'm going to sign off.
I am not Mr. Lebowski. You're Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude. So that's what you call me, you know? That or his dudeness or...
Friends with friends, friends with friends, friends with friends, it's never going to end. Friends with friends. Friends with friends, friends with friends, it's never going to end. Friends with friends, friends with friends, friends with friends, let's do it again. Oh, Brett, he talks to people about